You know, I really hate birth by sleep. I really hate grinding in Birth by Sleep. Yeah, that's it, grinding. Despite the fact that you can exit and re-enter a screen right away to get the enemies to respawn, getting from level 40 or so at the end of the game all the way to the max level can take hours. And since you have to do it 3 times, you're going to be spending much more time grinding levels here than in the vast majority of other games in the series. The best place to grind in Birth by Sleep has been known for a long time. However, grinding here is incredibly repetitive, so obviously you'll want to spend as little time as possible on it to stop yourself from developing Kingdom Hearts madness. Most of the video guides online get the vast majority of the information correct, but don't actually maximize efficiency. In theory, that's fine, until you realize that just saving 10 seconds with each level can amount to saving a half an hour of your life overall. And at least for me, a half an hour less time spent playing Birth by Sleep during my lifetime is enough to keep me happy pretty much forever. You probably already know this, but I feel I should at least quickly detail what you'll need to do this method. Head to Radiant Garden and make your way to the reactor area. Make sure you have Treasure Magnet turned off and EXP Chance as well as all 5 Magic Hastes turned on. Reload Boost may also help you if you're insanely efficient, but is at most only going to save you a handful of frames per level up. Now get yourself below 25% health and head into the reactor area. Get the enemies to show up and kill them with Mega Flare. I'm not going to tell you how to make a Mega Flare because that info is really easy to find elsewhere. Regardless, that's the basic idea, with the addition of Victory Pose as an option, which triples the experience you gain from the last enemy you killed. If you do use Victory Pose, turn off EXP Walker, because otherwise it's likely to triple the 1 experience you get from just moving, instead of the experience gained from the last enemy. Also, make sure not to pick up any of the treasures dropped by enemies, because the HP orbs will heal you and you'll have to get yourself below 25% health again, massively slowing the process down. I know it's hard to do, but you're going to have to ignore all of the money and items that fall from the heavens. So this video aims to compare the length of time it takes to get from level 70 to level 71, using 4 different methods. The first method is killing all 3 sets of enemies and using Victory Pose after each of the 2 uses of Mega Flare. The second method consists of killing all 3 sets of enemies but skipping Victory Pose. The third method will only use the first Mega Flare with a single Victory Pose, skipping the final set of enemies. And the final method will only use the first Mega Flare and will skip Victory Pose as well as the final set of enemies. If one pays attention to the experience points they get across the board, we can get a vague idea for which method has the potential to be the most efficient. On critical difficulty after you finish the game, the first Mega Flare nets you exactly 2,880 experience. The second nets you exactly 540 experience. The first Victory Pose will net you an additional 1,080 experience. And the second Victory Pose sees you getting an extra 648 experience. This means the first Mega Flare can net you a maximum of 3,960 experience with Victory Pose, and the second one will add an additional 1,188 experience with Victory Pose. Technically, since using the Victory Poses and killing all possible enemies sees you getting the most experience overall, it would stand to reason that this is actually the fastest way to level. However, as we'll see in just a moment, there are a few other factors that can make a difference. So here we have all 4 methods timed out starting on the first frame where the command deck turns yellow to signify that you've entered combat, and ending on the first frame where the level up HUD icon has fully extended across the screen. There is of course just a bit of margin for error in terms of player efficiency, but I tried to make this as consistent as possible by making sure I never made any mistakes during any of these 4 runs. As we begin here, the first thing you're probably likely to recognize is that using Mega Flare and Victory Pose takes time which cannot be shortened, since you can't skip the animations for them. Since the final set of enemies offers us significantly less experience than the first set, we are left with a question. Does the experience offered by these enemies outweigh the time taken to cast a second Mega Flare and potentially a second Victory Pose? After all, if the amount of experience gained through killing every enemy doesn't save enough time to compensate for the extra time it takes, it's less efficient. So I'll shut up now, and I'll let you watch before coming back and explaining why I think things end up the way they do. Okay, so I think there are two factors here which ultimately are what dictated why these times ended up the way they did. The first and most obvious is the amount of experience the final set of enemies affords you. Again, it's just not that much, which means it's actually slower overall to fight the second set of enemies no matter how you choose to do so. The only way to compensate is by using Victory Pose, but even then, it's slightly slower than just fighting the first set and using a single Victory Pose there. In other words, Victory Pose is the key to leveling the fastest, because during both Mega Flares, it's offering you enough experience that it significantly cuts down on the required amount of times you have to repeat the cycle in order to level up. Anyway, hopefully this clears things up and saves you some time. There may be faster ways to level up beyond this, but at least related to the variations on this one method, I don't think it gets any faster. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you're interested in another one, here's the last one that I uploaded. You can also follow me on Twitter or subscribe by hitting the subscribe button.